What rubbish! What balderdash!
You must have read something terribly disturbing, Watson, for you to be so overwrought this early in the morning.
Indeed, Holmes. It's irresponsible of the Times to play upon people's superstitions.
Ah, you must be referring to the affair of the mummy's curse.
Has the entire city in an uproar. 3 men dead, and they expect us to believe that a 4,000-year-old mummy was the murderer. I'm surprised you haven't taken some interest in this case, Holmes.
To the contrary, my dear Watson. I have made some inquiries, because I dare say I do believe this murderer is a much younger chap.
Welcome to Nintendo Dreamcast episode 90. It's episode 3? Episode
93.
93?
Trying to give you an off my cue, motherfucker. Take it.
Gee, you're so hateful today. It's like the third time he's called me mean names today.
Yeah.
Episode 93. We have a really special treat for our listeners today. We are going to be playing Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective throughout the podcast. This will be awesome. But first, I guess we'll talk about what we've been playing real quick. We do have special guest Anthony. Anthony, say hello.
Hello.
Yep. Special guest Anthony. He is going to be our lead investigator for Sherlock Holmes. So, Ish, what have you been playing?
Lots of Hearthstone and Marvel Puzzle Quest.
So, really no games of note.
Yep.
Okay. Danny, what have you been playing?
I played a lot more.
What is it real games? You play it on your phone, it's not a real game.
I played a lot more of KOTOR.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you hit the twist?
I did.
Did you see it coming? Like Sherlock Holmes?
No, I thought I was maybe the daughter of Revan. But,
really?
Or child of Revan, I guess.
Oh, that's right. You always do chick avatars, don't
Yeah.
you? Yep.
It's a Freudian thing.
Yep. I don't. Actually, it's really funny because there's like one that looks dead on like J-Lo and even has like the giant ass. So you like see from behind the entire time, like, yep, that's J-Lo's ass already.
I think I've seen a lot of J-Lo's ass. The game was made in the early 2000s, so that was relevant.
So I found 3-star maps and then escaped from the Leviathan, and I'm trying to get the 4-star map right now.
Who'd you romance?
You can romance in this game?
Oh, yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Danny. Like, you haven't romanced somebody.
I barely even talk. The only time I ever talk to my allies is when it forces
It's Karth,
me to.
isn't it? You're banging Karth.
Karth or nasty. Come on.
Karth or nasty.
Oh, nasty. I knew that was coming.
No, I mean, the only time I ever actually talked to my allies is when they force you to, and then like you're just walking around. It's like it seems like Karth might have something on his mind.
Well, Danny, as much in real life, if you take the time to know the people around you and communicate with them, you'll form real relationships with them, Danny.
Yeah,
and some of your crew members want to bone you in KOTOR.
Like I went like light side, and now I really wish I would have gone dark side, because after the big twist there's that moment on the ship where they're all like, should we still follow this guy? And everyone pipes up like, you're a good person, I like you, I'll follow you. I'm like, what would have happened if I had been evil?
They would still follow you.
But only because they're
You'd
scared
have
of you.
a couple people. I think there's a couple people who are like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Actually, it tests your relationship. That's what it does. So if you built up relationships, it tests your loyalty to them.
Yeah. I also played a little bit more of Dark Cloud 2, but I've kind of fallen off of that bandwagon. I also there is a free game for Xbox called Hand of Fate.
Yeah.
I downloaded that. It's kind of like a board game, because you're playing you build decks, and you walk around on top of cards, and the cards flip over and they're encounters. So you build a deck of encounters and you randomly make a map that way for yourself. And the only when you do, sometimes it'll be like it'll give you 4 cards and like shuffle them around, and you have to pick the right one for it to successfully do something. And other times it'll actually put you into the game and you have a combat scenario where you're like fighting people.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's free on Xbox One?
It is right now, yes. It's the older free game, so I think probably by the time this podcast gets out, it'll be cycled off. Unfortunately,
I don't have time to play anything except for nothing anyway. So.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot more TV shows though. I have watched both seasons of Knights of Sidonia. I'd never gotten around to it.
I haven't seen the second
recently.
season, but I love the first season.
Yeah. I'm surprised you like it because it does kind of have some of those anime movies that you're always like,
the silly anime moments. Yeah. Well, not so much the first season, does it? I think the first season was very Battlestar Galactica serious.
I guess, but I mean, there's all those movie moments and like the relationships he has with all the girls, like where he's always walking in on them while they're changing. And
well, that's an anime. You had to take those things with. I liked Planet Gargantua, Verdant, whatever it's called, and it had all kinds of those.
It was packed with that, but it's still good.
Yeah, that was a great show. Helial.
Yeah.
Every time Allie hates it because every time we go to dinner, if there's any kind of seafood, I was like, Helial. I have to fry the Helial. It's like the squid-looking monster. And
there's also today. The new series started on Hulu, that 11/22/63.
Oh, the King.
I've actually
Stephen King
read
one?
the book. In all seriousness, have I talked about the book on the podcast?
I don't think so.
It's one of my favorite Stephen King books, which is really weird because he's not known for his best work post car wreck accident, and it is the single best love story I've ever read.
Yeah, I don't. There hasn't been any love element in it yet, but
No,
it's like amazing time travel fiction. So I'm
You
totally
should
hooked.
read it. It's really good. It's really long. It's like 800 pages, but by the end of that book, I was just like, this book is going to make me cry.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. There's so many layers, like him trying to stop JFK, him trying to set like a personal like murder, like that is one of his students, like right, and him trying to do so many things.
I do know that part, because that's the only thing. Like he's gone back in time once, total flop. His first time go time back. He's like, I got to do at least one thing right though. So he's going to Holden, Kentucky, and that's where the first episode cuts out.
Yeah, he does. He goes in the book. I don't spoil anything. In the book, he goes back several times trying to make things right. But my favorite thing in the book, and I wonder if they'll put it in. Not my favorite thing, but a really cool part in the book is he goes to Derry, Maine, in the 50s and meets the kids from it, which is really cool.
He actually gets back to the 50s somehow.
Or I guess it's the 60s. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Sorry. But he meets the kids. I thought, for whatever reason, it was in the 50s, but it's in the 60s. But he meets Beverly and like a couple of kids, which is kind of cool. It's a cool moment.
That's really neat.
So it's on Netflix?
And it's got James Franco. It's on Hulu.
This is. I've had Ish's Hulu password saved in my phone for like 2 years now and never used it. I think this might be the time I have to use it.
Oh. That would make sense. Like, I was looking at it the other day, and there's people like countless people use my Hulu and Netflix accounts. Like, if you want it, I pretty much give it to you.
We'll just say it right here.
No. Somebody will lock us out of the account if that happens. And there's always the craziest shit pops up on, like, you recently been watching. And one of them the other day was on Netflix. Jim and the Holograms is on there.
The movie?
Yeah, the new movie.
I kind of want to see that.
Yeah. It was like, you've been watching this. I was like, that's definitely not me.
But one thing about that show is they're even though it's like on Hulu, they're releasing it weekly. So it's going to be like an 8-week event.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's not all out at once?
No,
that sucks.
That's unfortunate.
Actually, it's kind of cool because one thing about like Jessica Jones and Daredevil is they come out and I'm like, waha!
Just binge watch it.
Yeah, binge watch it, and then I'm like, well,
having it episodically feels more like a Hulu thing. Since what I go to watch right now on Hulu is current TV shows every week episodically. Because I don't have an account.
But also James Franco's in this, and I know people give him shit, but he is one of my favorite actors. I mean, what is he bad in? Name something he's bad in.
He was really good in Spring Breakers.
Exactly, Spring Breakers. He's
a treasure. He's
a fantastic comedic actor, and I think he does a really good...
I knew I recognized him from something, and I had to look his name up, because I knew if I sat down here and said I watched 11/22/63, it should be like, with James Franco? And I'd be like, God fucking damn it, Ish. I don't know.
But the best thing that James Franco's done, if you're ever on YouTube, which I'm sure that's everybody is, look up Acting with James Franco. It's this short that he did with his brother, like, and they're clearly just super high, and they have like a handy cam, and he does it like in his house or whatever. But it's him giving acting lessons, and it's just gold because he's like fucked up as shit. Does not know what he's talking about. It just divulges into him like making his brother smell his socks. It's great.
I bought like a tablet in the last 2 weeks, so I've been. I used to read do visual novels on my computer, but I'd fallen off on doing that. So I started reading visual novels as I go to sleep at night with my tablet now. but
Nice.
it's not really a game.
Yeah. What'd you play, Matt?
Not much. Unraveled finally came out.
What's
I don't
that?
know. It's
With the Yarny?
Yeah, with
I
the
saw
Yarny.
I saw you
your
make
little
him.
homemade Yarny for your kid.
Yeah. I made. I found like instructions online on how to make your own Yarny, and Cordelia and I made it. Mostly, I made it. It's pretty cool.
That's the crap me and Charlie do is we just look up crafts online and make them.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
I got to make another one because we didn't have the right kind of wire. I need armature wire apparently, so I'm gonna get that and make a bigger, better one. Yeah, that game's pretty cool. It's like another like emo platformer, kind of like Braid or like I don't know.
Oh man, I watched an
Undefended
interview with the guy that did Braid did an AMA on Reddit. Did you see that?
No,
It was just full of salt. Amazing. Talked about like Soldier Boy. You remember when that came out, where Soldier Boy did a video about Braid? He's like, "Oh shit, son, you play this game, Braid?"
I don't
Braid
remember
is
that
this
at
like
all.
super like indie, like intelligent, like platformer that has like themes of like changing your destiny and stuff,
Time manipulation and stuff.
Soldier
Yeah.
Boy is like fucked up as shit on YouTube. This shit's crazy. It's like reverse Mario. And like the game blew up for like all the wrong reasons, and the guy really hated it. He's like, I just don't think people understood what I was trying to do with the game. Blah 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 blah.
He's got a new one out that everybody's raving about. It looks boring as shit.
I thought
The
Braid
Witness.
was boring as shit.
I like Braid.
Oh, the Witness.
I enjoyed Braid.
The Witness, he made that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like I watched trailers and all it looks like is little line puzzles. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like you like do little line puzzles and then doors unlock and stuff like that. So I've seen people like making videos where they just trace the outline of the handicap person on those handicap buttons, and at the very end they push it and it just like the door opens.
That sounds stupid. What
Yeah.
else you been playing?
Not much else. Adios. It's like a little puzzle game where you fly a rocket around like all these planets. And
Where do you find these games?
Cordelia and I look through the
that's
new
what I'll-
games all the time and watch the screenshots and the videos. And she's like, "Oh, I want to play that." And
That's what I always ask it.
if it's cheap enough, I'll buy it.
I reformatted my computer finally from the Windows 10 fiasco, and I downloaded Marvel Heroes 2016 because our friend of the store, Scott Anderson, plays, and he's like, "I'll run through some like dungeons with you," and it's pretty much Diablo with Marvel characters. It was a lot of fun. I don't know how much. Like, I felt like I'm coming into the end of, like, a super long game where there's, like, 50,000 expansions, and there's, like, everybody's running around, like, level 60 Doctor Stranges everywhere, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know if I'll play that again. But
Yeah.
it was all right. Mostly, I've just been saving myself for Fire Emblem Fates. Comes out this Friday. It's going to be amazing. I
Exciting.
have the collector's edition, but you guys don't. That sucks for you. But let's move on, shall we? We don't have any video game news, correct?
No, we're gonna. Well, there probably is some. We're gonna skip it.
We're not going to ask Anthony what he's been playing.
He's been playing games on his phone. All right. So what we're going to do is play Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. If you have this game or you plan on playing it, you might not want to listen to this episode because we are going to be doing Case 6, The Mummy's Curse. So if you ever want to play this specific case, probably don't listen to this one, but I'd rather you do listen to it.
Can you download like more cases on the internet or something, or is it only?
There's 10 cases that come in the box. The game is actually out of print, so it's hard to find now.
Okay.
They did a reprinting in January, and it's already sold out again. But they did announce in August, just in time for Gen Con, there will be a standalone box set that is actually an expansion to this, but you can also buy it standalone because it'll have the map and the directory and everything.
Right.
It has 10 new cases, plus a 4-case campaign about Jack the Ripper, where each case is one of the murders, the Jack the Ripper murders. So it's pits Sherlock Holmes against Jack the Ripper. I'm super, super excited about that.
There are some fan-made cases for it, too. I've never done or read any of them. But if you go on Board Game Geek, there's a link to a couple, like, I think 3 cases that are supposed to be pretty good.
So since I'm going to be talking a lot when I narrate this, how about Danny explains to our listeners?
Let's just say straight off, there's no like board game pieces to this, so you're not missing anything. It's all verbal. Like,
Critical
It's all-
thinking.
it's all
clue
theater of the
following.
mind.
It's all theater of the mind. The box literally comes with 10 cases, a directory of London, a list of allies and addresses, and a map of London, and 10 newspapers, one for each case. However, we have discovered that there are some clues in previous newspapers to future cases, but we just pulled out the one because we skipped a case. But if you want to keep the mic between you guys, Danny, so...
Yeah, I was just going to go over the rules real quick and then put it back. Yeah. So like James explained, the game components of these are very limiting. We just have a newspaper for this case, a casebook, a directory of London, a map, and a list of allies. The allies are people you might know. Like we can go talk to Mycroft at the Diogenes Club or Lestrade at Scotland Yard. Some of them are less
or Sherlock Holmes, who when you go see him is just an asshole.
Really? You okay?
I sit in while they went and saw Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, when you go see Sherlock Holmes, he basically just reiterates what he told you at the beginning and asks if you were listening. And
yeah,
that's about it.
He's like, remember when I said all this at the beginning of the game?
So what we're going to do is to start out the case is there is an intro written in the book where someone related to the victim or maybe Lestrade from Scotland Yard is going to come to us and say he needs help on this case. Sherlock is going to ask a couple of probing questions and then send us on our way. We are the Baker Street Irregulars. And it is our job to solve the case. Sherlock is also investigating, but he wants us to train us in how to come to the same conclusions he does. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the intro. It's going to give us some clues of where we might want to go, because all we do in this game is take turn picking locations we want to go and investigate. So he's going to read it. It'll probably tell us where the victim was murdered. And the first thing we'll probably do is go to the location of the murder, the crime scene, investigate. And then that will give us some information about like who was working that night or who was in the area, who was a witness. And then maybe we go to that person. We would look up that person in the London directory to find out their address. And then there are entries written for a multitude of addresses in the casebook. So we just figure out what the address is, go look for the entry, lead, and go look for the lead in the casebook and then read whatever paragraph or paragraphs of information we find at that location.
Yep. And how the game is scored is at the end, we take the amount of leads that it took us to come to our conclusions, and we compare those to Sherlock Holmes. For every lead that we do, we get points deducted. So we want to try and solve the case in the least amount of steps possible.
Once we think we've figured everything out, we stop following leads, open the casebook to the questions section, answer 8 questions, and get points depending on what our answers are, how correct they are, and then minus our points based on how the extra leads we had to do over Sherlock.
All right, Anthony is starting on the newspaper. He's going to pass it around. Does anybody have any questions about you, Matt? You got it? Everybody else?
Sure, I will have a ton later. But
Yep. Each turn, one of us will be the lead investigator, and no matter how much we talk and stuff, the final consideration for where we head next will be by that one investigator. So we'll just go around the table. Do you want to start with Anthony or Danny?
We'll have Anthony be the lead investigator first.
Okay. That way Matt can see how it works.
I don't know if we introduced him, but we have Anthony Calabrese, friend of the show, friend of the shop. Say hi, Anthony.
Hello.
Yes. The Mummy's Curse. 12 April, 1889.
James has been wanting to do this for a long time.
Yeah, that's the only reason you picked this game.
We are having morning tea at Baker Street, hoping that a new case will come our way. Holmes is at work at his chemical table, and Watson is busy reading the Times. The tranquility of the setting is suddenly broken by Watson. What's balderdash? What's rubbish, Holmes? Watson adds emphasis to his outburst by throwing the morning paper to the floor. How can the papers capitalize on people's superstitions? And the Times, Holmes. It's the Times that started it all. Watson walks over to the fireplace and begins to fill his pipe with the Persian slipper. I must say, Watson, says Holmes as he turns from his microscope, you must be upset to forsake your beloved Arcadia for my shag. Sorry. These are some really weird words. I guess shag, a paper. And then go back. I must say, Watson, says Holmes as he turns from his microscope, you must be upset to forsake your beloved Arcadia for my shag. What is it that you find so disturbing? The affairs of the Mummy's Curse, I would assume. Yes, Holmes, you assume correctly, but it seems to me that you should be using your powers of deduction and not assumption to clear up this matter. It has the whole city in an uproar. 3 men dead, and we are to believe that it was caused by a 4,000-year-old mummy? I am surprised that you have not shown some interest in this, Holmes. I have been following the case in the papers and have made some inquiries. It does show some points of interest. I think most of the main points are lucid, but there are a few minor points that still have to be cleared up. It may look into it when I finish up the case I am working on now. You don't mean that you believe this balderdash about a curse being responsible for the deaths of 3 people? My dear Watson, there has been a curse for murder upon men since the beginning of time, and I do not claim to know the cause of that curse. I think the cause of these murders is a little closer to hand than a 4,000-year-old mummy. Holmes now turns his attention to us. Why don't you look into this? You may find something of interest. And that's it. That's it for leads. There are no. Sometimes at the beginning of them, it'll give us like papers or something to look at.
Well, we do have one lead because there's an article in the Times called "The Mummy Strikes Again."
Okay, maybe we'll have Anthony read the Mummy Strikes Again.
All right, so there's an article. We have a London Times for today. Article in here that's called "The Mummy Strikes Again." The body of James Windibank was discovered late yesterday in the room he was preparing for the British Museum's exhibit of newly discovered artifacts from the tomb of Katebet's mummy. That's Katebet mummy. The archaeologist was found strangled. Around his neck were linen bandages of the type used by ancient Egyptians in wrapping mummies. Windibank is the 3rd murder to be associated with the mummy Katebet in the past 6 weeks. The archaeologist had accompanied the London University-sponsored expedition to Egypt. The project has been cursed with ill luck since the first discovery of the tomb several months ago. Its organizer, Dr. Ebenezer Turnbull, was murdered in the actual tomb itself. Another archaeologist, Andrew Weatherby, met a similar fate on board the ship returning to England. The Jardine ship, the Eastern Empress, was the scene of that mysterious death. The shipboard investigation was handled by Captain Herman Ramsey and his first officer, Luther Tenney. Just so everyone knows, I'm reading this slowly and emphasizing the names because they're all taking notes as to the names because we have to know how to spell the names. And at the end, we're going to have to probably ask questions about all these people involved. They're just going to throw out a ton of names and locations, and we got to kind of keep straight who was where, when, and did what. Scotland Yard has declined to name any suspects at this time. There is one more article I'm going to read here. It is a letter to the editor on the back of the Times. Sir, with regard to the recent mummy murders, I would like to suggest that we abandon our attempts to disturb the ancients in their graves or otherwise. This applies not only to such excavations as become so common in Egypt, Morocco, and other foreign lands, but also to projects in our own British Isles. If the hypotheses of such men as James Ferguson, who believes that Stonehenge is an ancient sepulchral monument of the Saxon Druids, are true, we should leave the burial grounds undisturbed. Surely if these murders are the work of some present-day mortal human, the police will discover his identity, bring him to justice. Respectfully yours, J.A. Smuts.
The old smut.
That's most of what the paper has to say about the mummy.
What was the name of the ship?
The Eastern Empress.
Good job, Ish.
See that for me? You're done with it.
And was the ship, did it say, was the ship docked?
No, it was en route when the second guy was murdered.
It didn't give a location where the ship is docked. There is I think the captain's name was Hermes Ramses, though.
Well, there's several.
Herman Ramsey.
I have a listing for the major docks in London, but none of them.
It's saying the ship on the dock, though.
Yeah, I didn't know if it happened while the ship was docked or
I think it said en route.
en route. What was the captain's name?
Herman Ramsey.
Herman Ramses.
Sounds like an Englishman.
So wait, there were 2 people killed?
3.
Herman Ramsey does. Captain Ramsey does have an entry, by the way.
One was killed in the tomb.
Ebenezer Turnbull.
The other was killed en route in the ship.
That's Andrew Weathersby.
And the last was killed in the museum.
Yep, in the museum. Found strangled with cloth around his neck, and his name was James Windibank.
So, I'll give the mic back to Anthony. He's the lead investigator.
Yeah.
So generally the best first place to go is the scene of the crime. The most recent murder was done at the museum, is that correct? So I was reading, not really absorbing while I was reading.
Pause.
Oh, we're going to pub.
All right. Sorry about that. Had to go check out a customer. So.
Nice.
So, the captain does have an entry in the directory, Herman Ramsey.
I've also found the location of the British Museum if we wanted to stop by there.
Yeah, it's always good to check out the scene
Scene of the crime. Yep, that's what Anthony was saying.
But Anthony is lead investigator. Do we have any other things we want to talk about? Any of our allies that might come in handy here?
There's another article or editorial, like kind of a Donald Trump type of thing that's saying that attributing the murder to like foreigners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Trying to drum up some...
Yeah.
Some hate.
So we should restrict access to our beloved Isle before this tragedy becomes worse. It's by Johnny Bulldog and Trent.
Also,
This game definitely accurately portrays late 1800s England in that all the characters in it are horribly xenophobic. We did one scenario just yesterday where guy had he was a lion tamer. He had an African buddy, and pretty much everyone just acted as vile as possible to his little African buddy Umudu. So it was rather jarring to read, but yeah.
So we've got the scene of the crime. We've got the ship captain. Also, there's Henry Ellis, who's a journalist at the Times, who probably wrote the article. Seems like he might have done. He at least talked to the Scotland Yard, who said they wouldn't comment this time. It kind of almost sounds like Scotland Yard knows something, but doesn't want it released in the papers. So it might not be a bad idea to go talk to Lestrade. And then there's the archivist at the National Archive Office, and there is somebody that actually works at the museum or the library. I don't know if we need to go to the library. If anything, Buffy the Vampire Slayer has taught me about mummies is that you immediately go to the library and do your research first. I mean, we could have a mummy situation on our hands, guys. I think people are just assuming that it's a Scooby-Doo scenario, but at this moment, I am fully convinced it was the mummy. We're dealing with a mummy.
If this was Time Stories, it would definitely be the Mummy.
I don't know how to kill a mummy.
This coming from the guy when we played Time Stories refused to believe that it was a real manticore. Well, must just be a very large cat.
Yeah, now I am fully believe that it's supernatural in nature.
Just one more thing. So when you play through these stories, they are done in chronological order, and so you can use the prior newspapers from prior stories, and there is an entry in a previous newspaper. Regarding the three people who were murdered, Dr. Ebenezer Turnbull, Dr. James Windibank, and Andrew Weatherby, delivering a lecture about how they're about to go to Egypt and check out some tombs. Read through it. There's really not much to be said other than that.
Does it say anything about the ship line that takes them or anything?
No, just it's in August and they're about to embark on their expedition.
So all three of them knew each other prior to
they were the crew. Basically, they were archaeologists. Yes, they were all the archaeologists out on this expedition.
Well, right now, to me, the only person that connects all three murder victims right now is the ship's captain.
Sure, yeah. The ship, they all went together out there. Mm-hmm. Between going there and coming back, all three of them have now died. Mm-hmm. I think always my go-to place is the scene of the crime.
Scene of the crime? I like it.
Which would be the museum.
And the ship, right?
Well, yeah, right now, the most recent crime,
okay,
where the crime scene would be fresh.
Hit me with the location.
Would be the museum.
The British Museum is at 38 WC.
So West Central?
Something like that.
Is that how it's done on the map?
Walter Closet.
38 WC. Leyland Johnson, curator of the Egyptian collection, shows us into the second Egyptian room, the scene of the murder. In the middle of the room is an ancient sarcophagus, its gold-covered surface reflecting the light that passes through the eastern windows. Windibank's body was found in the sarcophagus, states Johnson. Inside the sarcophagus? Yes, inside. A rather appalling sight greeted one of the guards when he made his rounds. As he entered the room, he noticed the top of the sarcophagus was askew. As he moved closer, he saw a man's hand protruding from the sarcophagus. Thinking that the mummy was attempting to leave its resting place, he ran from the room to get me. Some of the guards have been a little on edge since the stories of Mr. Weatherby's death. I returned to the room, and with the guards' help, we removed the top of the sarcophagus and found the body of James Windibank atop Katabet's mummy. Around his neck was a linen bandage, the type used to wrap mummies. A very eerie sight, I must say. Who else had access to the room? The museum was open to the public yesterday. This room was closed with the exhibition. Sorry, this is also translated from French, and I don't think they did a very good job. Because this says the room was closed white. The exhibition was being set up.
Oh.
This room was closed while the exhibition was being set up, but there were no extraordinary precautions to keep people out, just the rope across the entrance. Do you have any idea who might have wanted to kill Winterbank? No, none at all. I didn't know him very well. He didn't work for the museum, you know. He was with London University. The university and the Muse were joint sponsors of the Katabat expedition. Can you think of anything that might shed some light on this affair? No, I'm sorry. I can't think of anything.
What's the Muse?
It's capital M-U-S-E. It just says the university and the Muse. I think they should. I think it's mistyped and it should be museum.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The university and the museum were joint sponsors of the Katabat expedition. So my first thing, my mind jumps to James Winterbank tried to get freaky with this mummy. And the lid closed and crushed him to death.
Okay.
How'd the bandages get around the neck then?
Autoerotic exposition.
Yes, thank you.
That's what it is. Okay. That sort of freaky.
All right,
freaky
case
naughty.
closed. Let's go.
I mean, when you're into mummies,
Obviously,
that's a minor extra cake. Come on.
It's obviously a horribly sexy mummy. 3 people tried to fuck this mummy and got crushed in the sarcophagus. Case closed.
Yeah. Let's go to the
Suck
pub.
it, Sherlock.
Let's go to the pub.
All right, so what did we learn from that?
Not a lot.
One thing that stood out to me is the guard had to have help lifting the sarcophagus lid, which leads me to think that it's probably pretty heavy, so it might be more than one person or a very large Sasquatch large type person.
Yeah.
So my mind is jumping towards maybe multiple murderers.
Yeah, multiple. I know Danny's now the lead investigator, so our next...
I mean, well, we talk about this.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, what do you guys think? What did we get from this?
I mean, it's pointing us to the university. I mean, you're right. If our main suspect is like a thin, frail person, then it wasn't just him.
Yeah.
Or if we find a huge, bulking, strong man, that might be a clue.
Yes.
Or it could be multiple people.
Like, what is your profession, sir? I lift giant stones for a living. He was crushed to death with a giant stone. Did we look in the newspaper for any crushing deaths?
Yeah, there was an
giant
accident.
stones.
No, there was an accident where somebody fell off a horse or something. I don't know. There was a couple accidents on the back page.
Did somebody throw a giant stone at him off the horse?
I'll read a little bit more. There is an entry for the London Museum if we wanted to go ask them more about it.
Aren't we at the museum right now?
Or, sorry, the London University.
Okay. Read that entry.
Well, I don't know if that's where we want to go, though.
I thought you meant in the newspaper.
Oh, no. I mean, I looked it up in the directory,
Okay.
and there's an entry. There is an address for the London University if we wanted to follow that lead, since they are jointly sponsoring it. And like, it sounds like the 3 of them were more affiliated with the university than they were with the museum. So maybe we'd learn more about them as people. And
Yeah.
I mean, the way, since it's like a mummy thing, it makes me think that maybe, I mean, they were like archaeologists. If I was going to go off stereotypical, like ancient archaeology sort of mysteries, I think maybe they found something extremely valuable in that crypt and tried to keep it, and or maybe like keep it and split it 4 ways or 5 ways or 6 ways, and they're slowly killing off the other people. I mean, this is a hypothesis.
Classic greed. Very
Yeah.
good, Denny.
Do we know the other archaeologists involved in the expedition?
From the old entry in the newspaper, we only know about these 3 people. That's the thing.
But I'm sure the university could shed light to see if there was anybody else affiliated with
Yeah, we could
the
go
dig.
talk to the university about if there was anyone else in their party. We could also go talk to the captain of a ship and ask if he transported any more people than just the 3 of them.
I feel like
if there's any beef going on.
I feel like the captain's pretty good lead, considering he is so far the only other person that we know has direct link to the victims.
Yeah, and probably doesn't have any love for archaeology.
Now, did the captain take them all there? Or was he their ride back? Because in that
We
case,
know he was at least the ride back. I don't know
so
if
he wouldn't have an
took the
affiliation with the first guy unless he
Well, we
was the
don't
right
know.
there.
They might have chartered his ship there and back.
True.
Yeah, since we're on the topic of treasure hunting archaeologists, that article from a previous one, Dr. Turnbull goes out of his way, prefacing his lecture, to denounce treasure hunters, and saying in these days an archaeologist should have little to do with treasure hunting as an astronomer, as a mineralogist should do with gold mining. That they should be researchers and not treasure seekers.
Nice.
So
It belongs in a museum.
either he doth protest too much and wants to be like, no, seriously, I'm not a treasure hunter, so he can steal some treasure, or he maybe is disgusted with his friends having procured some items for their own personal gain and perhaps threatened to put them away or report them to the police for stealing some valuable artifacts, and perhaps they got rid of him before he could tell on them. Just some ideas.
Is there an entry for Brendan Fraser in there? Could we consult Brendan Fraser? Or the Scorpion King?
Yeah, or Dwayne Johnson.
Remember they're remaking it with Tom Cruise? Not that kind of mummy.
Unfortunately, not. There's no
Actually, it would actually be more this type of mummy than it would be the other mummy. So it's relevant again.
What was the name of the guy we just talked to? I missed that.
Leland Johnson?
Leland
Did
Johnson.
you guys not write this down?
I did.
He did.
I tried to, but I was given a mechanical pencil to take notes with, which is the worst writing utensil ever invented in the history of man. Every time you try to write with it, it just ducks back in like a shriveled up penis.
Yeah, use my pen. I probably won't be writing much more down.
Danny's already got this shit on lock.
He's got to figure it out.
No, I just don't write a whole lot. I write a whole lot at the beginning, and as it wears on, I just go like, yeah, fuck this.
What do you want, Allie?
Beautiful.
Thanks.
All right. So I think we kind of are on the agreement that the strongest leads right now are probably either to go talk to the university or the ship captain, correct?
Agreed.
Yep. Remember, this one, it seems to be a kind of short case, so I feel like we're supposed to solve this in a really short lead, so we have to go where we think we will get the most information.
I think the captain was like closest to everything that
if
happened.
I was trying to think like Sherlock, he might not have even gone to the museum. He might have just gone straight to the captain. He tends to skip over the obvious steps. I think we should go talk to the captain. Why don't we look up his address and see what he has to say?
He has an entry.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you wrote it down.
Ramsey. Comma Herman.
32 WC.
Well, right nearby.
Yeah.
Captain Ramsey, can you tell us about the circumstances of the death of Andrew Weatherby aboard the Eastern Empress? Well, we'd just come through a rather large storm, and so I sent my first officer, Luther Tenney, down into the hold to check on the cargo. He reported back that Mr. Weatherby was dead among the Egyptian artifacts we were transporting. I turned over the helm to Tenney and went down to look for myself. Weatherby was just lying next to a coffin. However, it looked like he had tried to fuck that mummy. He had a piece of old rag wrapped around his neck, strangled apparently. I went back to the bridge and put Tenney in charge of the investigation. What did Tenney find out? You'd have to ask old Tenney about the specifics. I was rather preoccupied with the ship through the entire voyage, one storm after another all the way to Mother England. I countersigned Tenney's report, of course, but I can scarcely recall the details. My chief concern was my crew was blameless, and the report indicated as much. As far as passengers were concerned, a strange lot all in all. Tenney can give you more details.
Fuck.
Yep.
Sounded kind of like Danger Mouse.
Yeah, so that was a whole waste of a lead just to get the name Tenney.
Again.
Which we already had.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Fuck.
But, I mean, you go to the captain, not the first mate.
Exactly.
So
I also found that Tenney was the one that discovered the body.
And
also that the captain was more preoccupied with having his crew not be responsible for it, so he might not have investigated it that well.
Yeah.
yeah.
So Tenney found it. Tenney was in charge of the investigation, so
You want to go visit Tiny?
Well, do we learn anything else at all on that?
We did not learn anything else from the captain. He didn't, like he mentioned the strange lot of the crew that he was transporting, but no specifics were given. So I'm torn between Tinny and the university because, yeah, we need more names. I'm sure there was more than just those 3 guys on the excavation.
One thing I do want to point out is it did happen during a storm, which believes me to lead that the mummy used its sorcerer's powers to summon a tempest, which he drew power from to rise from the dead and murder this guy.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, that's usually more of what a Dracula would do, but I believe that this mummy could have
No, that's just
Dracula-like
science.
powers.
That's science right there.
So university or Tinny? Which way you guys leading? Because I think the university can give us specifics on who was there. Tinny's going to give us specifics on Weathersby's murder part in the investigation. So I think we'll get a broader idea of what happened from the university, but we'll get a more exact account of Weathersby's death from Tinny.
Tinny might be a dead lead, just the fact that one of the murders happened before they ever got onto the ship.
No, the murder...
Didn't one happen in the tomb?
Yes.
Yes, but a ship took them to the tomb. Presumably the same ship.
I'm not getting I didn't get that it was the same ship.
It didn't say one or the other, I believe.
That's
Usually
ship takes them there and then...
Right, usually you get voyage on a ship, it drops you off, you spend a couple of months there, you get another ship, just like an airplane, it's not the same.
Otherwise, you're paying sailors to sit around and
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but
Fuck
my airplane
prostitutes.
waits for me when I'm on vacation. And it's there for me when I get back.
This is the height of like sea trade, like ships are coming and going. Like,
I'm going to choose the university over Tinny at this point.
There's one more lead that we talked about earlier that we haven't followed up on, is that maybe Scotland Yard has more information
Than they're letting on.
or at least to the press. This intro was a little interesting in the fact that we just decided to pick up this case because we read a newspaper article about it. Most of the other cases I've done, either the victim has come, the victim's
Affiliated
brother
with it,
has
oh my
come.
God, man, an undead corpse?
The victim's
Has
brother
risen from the dead?
came and gave us a whole bunch of details, or the Scotland Yard came and gave us a bunch of details. So,
do you think we should talk to Mycroft?
I would choose Lestrade over Mycroft.
Isn't with the police, actually.
Yeah, he's more with like the
government relations.
Secret
Oh, yeah.
intelligence. Okay. If this was a matter of state, like our first case, we would probably go to him. But
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go with London University just to discover more about the excavation crew. So,
give me an entry.
Danny's got it.
Did you write it down, Danny?
For what?
The London University.
It's 43 WC.
Everything's quite local.
It takes a little bit of sleuthing just to locate the Egyptology department, but when we arrive, we find its chairman, Lawrence Feld, quite willing to talk to us. Mr. Feld, anything you can tell us about the expedition or the victims would be helpful. Such a tragedy. Fine men, fine scholars. I still can't get over the shock of it. When I heard of Turnbull's death in Egypt, well, what can I tell you? The expedition was sponsored jointly by the university and the British Museum. Ebenezer Turnbull has led several expeditions to the Luxor-Karnak area and has made some very significant discoveries. No sooner does he return to London from an expedition than he is busy planning his next. It was the first time he teamed up with James Windibank. Windibank has spent more time in classrooms than in the field, but to my great surprise, he insisted very much on being chosen and, in the end, got along perfectly with Turnbull. He was a very popular teacher, and several of his students were eager to accompany him on his expedition. I know he had a difficult time choosing Weatherby as the lucky one. Doesn't seem so lucky now, does he? I guess Travis is the lucky one after all.
Who?
Travis? Yes, Philip Travis. He was one of Windibank's students, and he was very eager to accompany the Tibet expedition. He became quite upset when Andrew Weatherby, a graduate student in the department, was chosen instead. Took it rather personally, actually. You've been most helpful, Mr. Feld. Can you think of anything else? No, but I certainly hope we're not taking seriously this rubbish about the murders being the work of a mummy. This kind of superstitious doggerel does a tremendous disservice to science and scholarship. Thank you again, and good day.
Oh, man, a jealous student, so...
Yeah, but he wasn't there for the tomb
That's
murder.
true, he wasn't there for the first one, or the second one.
So we did look over. I don't know. What is the date on this one? Is it April 12th, 1889?
Yep.
We did overlook one entry. Watson himself actually writes an editorial where he just yells at the Times.
I saw that. But, I mean, it was pretty much the same thing he said in the opening.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I just read it. I thought it was funny.
What we know is that this student wasn't picked to be a part of the expedition. What we do not know is if he remained in London and did not go to Egypt to murder the expedition.
Just to summarize what was said there, so Turnbull was the head archaeologist. Windibank was a professor that Turnbull asked to come. Windibank had never been on an expedition before. And then Windibank was choosing from his students who would accompany him. He wound up choosing Weatherby. Weatherby was the one who died at sea, correct?
Yep.
So Windibank, the professor, died in Egypt. No, Turnbull, the head archaeologist, died in Egypt. Weatherby,
The student
died on the ship. Windibank died
most recently in the museum.
Recently, and he had a pissed off student who was not happy about not being picked. So the student could potentially, we don't necessarily have to be the same murderer for all of them.
Exactly.
But given the same MO for the murders, it seems like it's the same murderer with the cloth wrapped around the neck. So odds are it's not the student because he was not on the ship.
Right.
Yeah, but
Even if he went to Egypt, he was not on the ship that murdered this
Are we
guy.
thinking student red herring?
Yes.
yeah, like I don't know. I wouldn't say right here. I say it lends credence to the idea of two bad guys. Just because if he killed the teacher here, the other guy could have killed the other two en route. So
Yeah,
They could have
especially
gone.
if we find somebody else that was involved,
If the Times has been carrying this story, they probably reported that Weatherby had bandages wrapped around his neck.
true,
Like they did.
it could have
in
been a
this.
copycat murder
Can I
to
have
the teacher.
paper from the very first one?
Windibank was the only one found in the sarcophagus, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Weatherby was found next to the sarcophagus.
And then Turnbull was in the tomb. Okay.
So if Philip Travis is involved, because we thought it would take two people to lift the sarcophagus lid.
That's what we're thinking. I'm on the two-person train. I'm thinking Travis might have done the teacher, Windibank, because he wasn't chosen, or like copycatted having heard about the other murders. But as for the first two, I'm not sure on who that.
But he would have to have help to lift the sarcophagus.
Got to be in cahoots.
We don't really know anybody else on the ship,
Yeah.
so we may need to talk to the first mate. to figure
Yep.
out.
I think Tenny's going to have to be a
that's the
stop.
problem.
Or we go to Scotland Yard and see what they do. But
Yeah, I mean, the problem is Lestrade is probably kind of an asshole too, so
Yeah.
he might just not tell us what they've found out so far.
But yeah, I'd say Tenny's a good bet. And then Tenny or Travis, I'd say was a good bet. We can get an alibi from Travis in reference to
I
everything.
bet it's Tinny and Travis.
That's pretty wicked.
But Tinny
Alliteration.
wouldn't have been in the tomb either, though.
No,
That's true, yeah.
It's possible that that guy actually died of natural causes, though.
Oh man, I didn't even think because they haven't mentioned finding cloth on the head guy's
we
neck.
don't know anything about his death.
No.
Oh, how would we find out about his death? I guess we would have to
There's
talk
a-
to Travis. No, or,
There's a
Probably
thing.
Scotland Yard.
There's
yeah.
an article on Little Egypt in the Times, and it talks about Hatasu Asquith, who has come from Egypt by way of Syria, and she's a dancer who is luring good, honest, God-fearing Englishmen into some brothels. I was looking at the.
That's another thing about her, I think.
There's some jewel thieves and a suspected thief found strangled, but I guess that goes to the second case.
Yeah.
It talks about one of those people. I was trying to see if there's anything in here. It's the only thing mentioned in Egypt.
Yeah, so having followed the three weeds we have, I'd say Tenny or Travis is our next bet. Because I like Danny said, I don't think Scotland Yard is going to be super forthcoming with the information they do have.
Yeah, the coroner is less of an asshole when we talk to him, though. So if we wanted more information about cause of death, we could ask him.
I'm sure he has Turnbull's body.
Has anybody mentioned anything gone missing, though?
At the museum?
No.
Not so
Because I
far.
assumed that we were looking at the thing is, if it was somebody stealing stuff, they just would have taken everything in the first place instead of over 4 robberies over the same corpse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, we have to look at motive, and the motive can't be like a robbery because they've done it 4 times now. It has to be killing. There has to be a reason that these people are getting killed.
If we knew of a 4th person on the expedition team, we could make a case for.
But why wouldn't the expedition lead kill them all at the same time in Egypt? Why wait until they get back to England?
He might have been killing them as they kind of caught on to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe he was like, if there was a 4th person, he might have been embezzling artifacts from the tomb to sell. But then the head archaeologist caught on to it, so he killed him. Mm-hmm. And then while they were on the boat, maybe he was moving artifacts from one crate to another when Weatherby saw him. And then, I don't know, something else with the curator, where after he got there, maybe he looked at a list of the inventory and noticed there was missing artifacts. Yeah. But as far as we know, there was no 4th person yet.
Maybe robbery is the motive, but he's just been caught in the act a couple times and hasn't been able to fulfill actually getting what, like the initial theft he's trying to attempt. He gets caught by Turnbull, kills him, flees before he can get it. Trying to steal it on the ship, Weatherby finds him, kills Weathersby, and then finally in the museum.
Yeah.
It seems like the murders are following the path of the sarcophagus. Like where it is where murder happens.
So could it have been the mummy?
Possibly.
A mummy against rape, yes. Any idea where you want to head, Matthew?
I think Scotland Yard sounds like a good idea. We could probably find out what the cause of death of the first guy was, and
I'd say that's the only way we're going to get info on the first murder is from Scotland Yard.
Anything found in the sarcophagus.
Okay, that sounds good. We've never done this before, so I'm really interested to see how Lestrade is going to act towards the Baker Street irregulars.
He's generally unhelpful.
Who's the lead investigator?
Matt is.
I think James is.
James is the narrator.
I am. Part of this investigation.
Okay,
I didn't know you were part of it too, so you are.
You would be up next. Where would you like to go?
I mean, where's the list of allies?
It's back.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I put it back in here. To me, Lestrade would be a good place to go. For whatever reason, I kind of want to go and see the guy at the Times. They put if they knew anything else, they would probably put it in the paper to sell papers.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason that they would. Did we want to go to St. Bart's and check the body to see if there's any clues at all on the body? Or do you think Lestrade would tell? Well, we also know that they're inept.
Now, I wonder if the coroner has all 3 bodies.
I doubt it.
Probably not.
Is he just going to give info on the
we really
most
need
recent?
info on that first murder.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have the body for the first murder.
In that case, I'd say Scotland Yard would be the best bet for info on murder number 1.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
I don't even know how much they'll have, really.
Yeah.
13.
I'm not sure how far their info is going to reach.
I almost guarantee he's going to come up. He's probably going to go like...
Long entry.
Nice.
Inspector Lestrade has bent over a stack of police circulars trying to link one with the dead or red-haired man and barely looks up. Feeney! He calls out. When Feeney, a tall, thin policeman with sad eyes behind thick spectacles, enters from an adjacent room, he asks him about his progress in the card file. I've got 4 possibilities so far, Inspector, he says, handing him 4 cards. Lestrade reads through them. Too tall, too short, mole on the right cheek, no, bald. Bald? Well, sir, he once had red hair. Lestrade puts his face in his hands and shakes his head. Keep looking, Feeney. We will keep searching, but tell Mr. Holmes that it might be some time before we know anything. That was the wrong case. What was the different card?
You have it in front of you.
Sorry. Put this one back in the box.
Oh, that's the cryptic curse, not the mummy's curse.
Yeah, I was wondering
Scotland Yard, 13 SW. What's Holmes working on now? Suppose he needs the yard's help again, greets Lestrade as we enter his office. He's asked us to look into Winderbank's death. Should have known that murder has brought out every crank in the city. I think the professional police can wrap this one up. Could you tell us what they have? At this moment, a dead archaeologist, nothing more. No suspects, no motive. There is nothing. I repeat, nothing I can really tell you. What about Weatherby's death? Have you looked into it? I've talked to Captain Ramsey and his officers, but we have no leads. Look, I'm not even sure Weatherby's murder follows into our jurisdiction. If it doesn't, I'm going to not worry about it. I have enough murders to take care of as it is.
Asshole.
Shit.
Yep.
Nothing.
Oh man,
That's
That's
got to be something very obvious that we're missing.
that's
here.
negative 5 points.
I almost think that this, since the case is so short, I almost think that everything's in the newspapers.
that or like we have to go talk to Tenny, and he's going to shine a lot of light on the situation.
Yeah, we don't have. It's not like we don't have leads to follow.
Yeah, the only remote like suspect with a motive we have is jealousy from Philip Travis. Other than that, we have nothing on who would want him dead. So we need to widen the suspect pool. And I think Tenny can do that by giving us
Where are we
info.
going?
Yeah, Matt's up.
I think we should talk to Travis because, like, Scotland Yard couldn't get anything out of Tinny
That's true. They did say they talked to him
They said they talked to the captain
and his officers.
and his officers.
Oh, and his
Yeah,
officers. Okay.
That's true.
And so either Travis is guilty or he's gonna be pissed enough to like spill the beans on anybody.
Tenny
who-
is T. Okay.
Philip Travis, TRAVS, Philip Travis. Does he have an entry?
50 EC. Is that where you want to go?
Travis?
Yeah,
or-
let's do Travis. Sorry.
Okay, Philip Travis.
Go
Philip
and see
Travis
Travis.
is a handsome young man with the enthusiasm of youth. He appears quite eager to talk to us, an audience. So, you have been reading my article in the Times. What do you think of them? 50 EC. Oh, is this the guy that wrote the article?
Which
Oh.
article?
You said Travis, right?
Yeah,
Philip Travis.
he's
50
Windabank's student. Wanted to go
Wait,
to.
yeah. Go back to the
Maybe
London
he's J.A.
University.
Smuts.
No, go back to the London University and read that again. Who was the student? What was his actual name?
It was Philip Travis.
43 WC. Just double check. Sounds like the Travis might be the Times, unless he is both the student and the Times reporter.
writer. Oh, man.
Yes, Phyllis Travis. He was one of Windabank's students. Okay.
Yep. So double check make sure it's Philip Travis.
50 50.
50 EC.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right, let's read it.
Let's go.
Philip Travis is a handsome young man with the enthusiasm of youth. He appears quite eager to talk to us, an audience. So, you've been reading my articles in the Times. What do you think of them? They were interesting. Thank you. You know I am not really a reporter. Oh? No. I was trained as an archaeologist, an Egyptologist to be exact, he says, pointing to the framed London University degree which hangs on the wall. That's why my articles carry the force of truth. And what truth is that, Mr. Travis? The truth that it is not good, sometimes, to bother what is no longer, as even death may be temporary. Travis goes to a large table in his room cluttered with books and ancient objects. On his table are a number of small mummies, as well as beakers and scattered vials. Travis takes one of the mummies and says, "Hello, my darling baby. I told you it was a mummy fucker." And then, turning to us, he continues, "There are the mummified remains of a cat. It's the ideal companion. No need to feed it or let it out, meow. And yet we feel like a presence, as if life still flowed in it." He puts the mummy back on top of the shelf with a small smile. A knowing smile. The young journalist takes out a sheaf of papers covered with hieroglyphics and then exhibits a barely used bottle of whiskey, fills a glass for a mouthful and toasts the mummy, which now mocks us from the top of the furniture, which he intends to fuck later. "Thank you, Mr. Travis. I think we have enough. Oh, don't leave yet. Let me show you another one of my companions. Thank you, but we must really be going. He's going to fuck that cat."
So he's certified to be crazy. Now, are we thinking he mummified this cat after killing it slowly?
It's the old gerbil deal, man. He's a filcher.
So I guess he could be crazy enough to kill all three of them and
I
try to
guess he
make it look
could.
like the mummy did it, so
Yeah.
he can verify his weird
And write about it.
theories. But that seems kind of far fetched.
He did sound fucking insane, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
We are kind of starting to run out of leads now.
yeah. I know, like, that has to be a red herring guy because, like, they're saying he was jealous. He is super duper crazy and talking about loving mummified baby cats.
Yeah, you fucked that cat.
Yeah, I think he's just a psycho, not necessarily a murderer. I think we only have one place to go.
What if we go and we have the answer and it is the mummy? What are we missing, guys? We're clearly missing
We
something.
got to talk to the first mate.
We have to.
Find out who else was on the boat.
Where's Tenny at?
Your lead investigator.
I tried
11 SE.
lead number 6. Shit, I just wrote all over my hat.
Talking to Tenny at 11 SE, the first mate of the Eastern Empress.
11 SE.
So if we had to pick right now, who did it?
Lieutenant Luther Tinney tosses his hands up in the air. My God, what a voyage! High sea storms all the way, cargo to be selected, cargo to be secured, and resecured, a disconnected crew, and a strange collection of passengers, complaining and bickering all the way. I tell you, the murder, even by a 4,000-year-old mummy, was only one of a series of unfortunate events. We understand.
Lemony Snicket.
Lemony Snicket. We understand that you are the one to find Mr. Weatherby. Yes, there was a pause between the blows, and Captain Ramsey ordered me down into the hold to check on the cargo. The blows. He was giving the captain a blowjob. Part of the mummies. Sorry. Yes, there was a pause between the blows, and Captain Ramsey ordered me down into the hold to check on the cargo again. I went right to the area of the Egyptian artifacts, as Professor Windybank was particularly anxious about them. Could you describe the scene as you found it? I found Weatherby next to the coffin thingy-mabob, with part of the mummy's winding sheet around his neck. Various crates were opened and papers scattered all over. Weatherby was lying right beside the crate next to a bowl of ashes. I reported immediately to the captain, and he put me in charge of the investigation. What did you find out? Nothing much really, I'm afraid. You see, it was 8 bells, 8 in the morning of our third day out of the Suez. A storm had been raging all night, and so the crew had been at the post and accounted for. The passengers, Weatherby among them, were all in their cabins as far as anyone knew or would say. Travis, the journalist, was sick as a dog.
Travis was there.
The ship's doctor even had to give him a sedative. No one saw anything, heard anything, or knew anything. What about the bowl? Where was it now? I don't know why I'm going into a weird Scottish accent. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened to it. Now that you mention it, I don't ever remember seeing it again.
What bowl?
The bowl.
The bowl of ashes they found.
Okay.
You found nothing suspicious or unusual. Now, I didn't say that. It all started with the crew. Seamen are a rather superstitious lot to begin with. Our crew, Indians and Egyptians to a man, were that much more. The idea of carrying around a 4,000-year-old mummy spooked them completely. That reporter fellow, Travis, did us no service at all with his mystic mumbo-jumbo about the sanctity of the dead and whatnot. I saw a squirrely look about him, and I could tell he wanted to fuck that mummy. He and Professor Windybank were constantly arguing the point, and the crew picked it up. Everyone wanted to fuck that mummy. We almost faced a bloody mutiny. Pardon my language. Then there were 2 Arabs. One, Fahmy, always had his box with him, a curious thing, obviously special made. It was about 18 inches long and 6 or 8 inches square. Don't know what was in it, but Fahmy never let it out of his sight. In any case, he stayed in his cabin most of the time and didn't have contact with anyone other than Windybank, with whom I've seen him trade a few words on the bridge. The Arab Al-Saud was always lurking about watching Fahmy. My guess is that he wanted that box, or rather, what was in it. Then there was a fist fight between Mr. Fenwick and Mr. Vruburu. Over what? Over Fenwick's wife, I believe, although they were never closed-mouthed about it. Thank you, Mr. Tenney.
He had a lot more information. We should have gone to him first.
Yeah.
Is Farmy spelled Fahmi?
That's what I have written down. That's what I would have guessed.
Are we talking Fahmi? Yep.
There's an Akram Farmy. Who are some of the other people named?
Al Saud,
Fenwick, and who else got in a fight?
Fenwick and Baru.
Fenwick and Mr. Verbu. I think those are shipmates, though. I don't see what that would have.
I thought he was naming passengers.
Here, you can actually write it down.
No, he's talking about the ship. The mate's going kind of wicked.
That was a crew member, though, right? Farmy? Was Farmy a crew member?
I go back.
No,
then there was the
Arabs.
2 Arabs. I believe that they were passengers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who was the other Arab besides
Al Saud.
Al Saud.
How do you spell that?
L-A-L dash S-A-U-D.
Okay, Al Saud Abdullah is 19 SE.
I want to say that I've seen both the Arabs' names in the paper.
Yeah.
What was Fahmy's first
Fahmy sounds real familiar.
I don't know. Just write down 37 WC for Fahmy.
name? Okay, that's where we should go. Please hit the box.
And then 19 SE for Abdullah.
Gotcha.
But the journalist was there.
Yeah,
he
Travis
there.
was there, like for all three now.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's a.
I mean, we may
Though-
know. I mean,
Accordingly, the doctor was supposedly gave him a sedative.
gave Travis a sedative.
Yeah, the night of the murder.
He was
Remember to
seasick.
share the mic.
I feel like we should definitely roleplay this, and we should immediately suspect the Arabs.
I think we're really going to need to know what's in that
Bloody
box that Fami had.
foreigners.
It'll be a red herring.
Yeah, wait, what's up with the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
It was about 18 inches and 6 or 8 inches square. Don't know what was in it.
A really big dildo.
That's what I was about to say.
It is like
The mummy's
one
penis.
and a half feet by.
I was
It's one
thinking
of those.
The mummy's dick.
3 feet long, or no, it's 18
one and a half
inches
foot long, half a foot wide.
He said 18 inches high, so I'm guessing they kept it erect.
Oh yeah, they kept it erect, especially Travis with that 4,000-year-old mummy on board.
this.
Okay, so I definitely think Travis killed all three of these guys. And I think,
we went to talk to Travis, and he didn't. I guess he did.
did it mention a bowl of ashes or anything in his house?
Well, they had a lot of curios.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was going to steal from an archaeological dig, I think it would be Travis.
Yeah, I think
Get tired fucking the same mummy cat
And
every
they
week.
said,
The only thing that's not tying me up, that's why. What is the motive behind killing them all separate at different places? Why wait back till you get back to London and murder somebody?
I
in the
have
museum?
no idea.
well, they said he was spouting off about not how you shouldn't desecrate tombs and like disturb the dead. So I'm thinking maybe since they did something to the tomb, he's slowly picking them off for that reason.
He's a sensationalist journalist. He's creating a story of a mummy's curse,
Yeah.
plotting murders that look like a mummy. I mean, that he's the modern day, clickbait. And he's just making these really fabricated, interesting stories by murdering. And also, he didn't like the people.
there was like a real
There's
journalist that did that in real life. I
Yeah.
can't remember
They just made the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal about it.
Yeah.
I don't-
Nightcrawler?
Nightcrawler.
There is also the possibility that he really does believe Egyptian ruins shouldn't be disturbed, and so he created this mythology. I mean, it's going to be really difficult to get any more British guys to go dig up mummies if they have the idea in their head that they're going to get murdered if they do.
It's like
Right.
maybe he is like the incarnation of the
Batman.
curse.
Like a Batman character.
Yeah.
Protecting the.
That'd be the
Like a crazy mummy fucking Batman.
that'd be the second Batman we've had in this story.
So are we going to go see Fami or
You
where
fuck
we
that
headed
mummy.
next? It's back
I
to
don't
Anthony.
think
I'm
we-
guessing Fami's going to be one of the secondary questions that we might get a couple points for
Yeah.
answering. I don't think it has. I mean, the thing is, I almost guarantee that it's going to be one of the secondary questions, so it's not really a wasted lead to go talk to him to find out. We'll probably get an answer, spending 5 points to get an answer that'll get us 10 points later. And it might show us if we're on the wrong path. There might be something more interesting there. Maybe there's more of a motive than just.
As of right now, I say we go to Fami. If you don't get anything more else, I think we've solved it.
Yeah. Travis is definitely, the culprit.
But we said there was 2 men.
That's what I was thinking.
How is he moving the
Plus, if he was kind of sick, how was he going to?
There are 2 Arabs.
Yeah, and they were super freaked out about the curse also, so
Yeah.
they probably would have helped him.
Though they seem
That's
to be at
true.
odds.
He was on a sedative, and he was able to kill that guy.
Weathersby.
Yeah, and just a museum murder. Like, how would he have? He wasn't seen at the museum, was he?
No.
No, not that I know.
Maybe he hired the Arabs to do it.
Yeah, let's go
He
see
may not
Haji.
be a murderer
Come on.
himself, but let's go talk to Fami, I think.
It's your call,
Your call,
Anthony.
Danny.
It's your call, Anthony.
Michael?
We're back to you.
Funny.
All right, give me the.
37 WC.
I want to hear your Arab accent.
Oh God.
Long entry. Long entry.
Make it racist as hell.
We knock on the Oklahoma Fami's door, and it swings open of its own violation.
Why are we talking like that?
Fami's name, but receives no answer.
That's really weird. It sounds like,
After a moment, we decide to enter.
sounds like Welsh or
Italian?
No, I was thinking more of like a Borat.
In the middle of the study, we find the body of a man we assume is Akram Fami. He is lying face down with a knife protruding from the middle of his back.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Better call Scotland Yard, says Wiggins. While waiting for the yard, we look around. The study looks as if a struggle had taken place. On the desk lies a copy of a book on ancient Egypt. Open on a page describing a slim statue of Sekhmet made of solid gold. Before we can get much further, Constable Stilson arrives on the scene. He takes our statement and shoos us out.
There's a statue made of solid gold.
I think that's what was in the case.
box, yeah.
The box,
Yeah.
So I think we need to talk to the other guy now.
I'll say Abdullah.
Oh, so yeah.
I think
we
he.
can assume he killed him.
Unless we go to his house and he's dead. I'm going to assume Travis killed him.
Yeah.
True. All right. To the other Arab!
19 SE, 7th lead.
19 SE.
Yep.
Is that our 7th? I thought it was our.
That would be our 8th.
Yeah.
At the home of the Abdullah al-Saud, his Muslim servant tells us that he is not home. Can you tell us when he is expected? Alas, my master does not confide. Alas, my master does not confide in his poor and humble servant.
Russian now.
It may be that he is out only for the evening, or he has may gone to the other Arab's house in which to murder him. It is my master, and Allah will it.
Seriously? That's all?
That's all I said. I say we endgame it.
Yeah.
Well, my question now is, we know that there is one murderer, and we know that he murdered the other Arab for the gold statue, but did he also murder the other people?
I don't think so.
If anything, maybe Al Sayed or whatever
I think Travis
is on the run because the other Arab
I don't
was
think
murdered.
Travis murdered anybody. I think the two Arabs were part of the expedition. They murdered the person in Egypt. They murdered the other person on the boat. They then murdered the other guy that probably saw the statue at the university, and then the other one murdered the other one.
No, I think
Yeah.
it's Travis. He's the only one that was like there that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, I'm on the Travis train.
Like they didn't want him to go, and he found a way to go anyway.
He's pretty freaking crazy with talking about.
He's
like we know he mummified that cat. Like
and
I
fucked
could-
and mummified.
Yeah,
I could see
just
it.
because he's a mummy fucker doesn't mean that he's a killer.
I could see it being the Arab.
yeah,
It's possible that they were also part of the expedition. Maybe when they opened the tomb with Turnbull, and they saw the gold statue, and he immediately was like, "This will be a great museum thing." And then the Arab's like, "Really? Because I think it would be great in my living room," and just like stab him in the back or something like that.
because they were probably doing the
The
heavy
only problem
lifting.
is that it seems that they got home scot-free. Nobody was talking about a missing golden statue at all. So why go to the museum and kill a person there?
So when we interviewed Turley, it said that a lot of crates had been opened and there was papers askew everywhere and there was a bowl of ashes. So I think someone was trying, like, it doesn't say it was a bowl of like, human remains or anything. It could have been that they were trying to destroy evidence that would lead back to the fact that there was something missing
Like
from
they
the
burnt something in the
crates and
bowl?
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's
like they
good.
burned the
It just seems
manifesto.
that they got away scot-free. Why go to the museum and kill somebody?
Well, maybe the statue was with the in the sarcophagus with the thing.
It was with the Egyptian. The Arab had the box on the ship.
Maybe he had to stash it in the sarcophagus for some reason once the ship was unloaded.
Maybe
It's got to be
I don't
some
know.
sort of like checking procedure when you unload cargo, right?
so. Since Travis was there as a reporter, he wouldn't have had any like hands-on stuff with the tomb. So it seems like anybody that's come in contact with tomb items have been killed, and the only person that has portrayed any idea of being against something like a tomb being disturbed has been Travis. So maybe just for the fact that the 4 or 5 of them that disturbed the tomb, maybe not took home a trinket of their own, they've all been murdered. So
It did say in here when we talked to the first mate that various crates were open and papers were scattered all over. And Weatherby was lying right beside the crate next to a bowl of ashes. So somebody rummaged through the crates looking for something specific and papers, then possibly burned the manifest that detailed that item was there.
Right. I think it was the Arabs.
But it said Fahmy always had this box with him.
Right.
I think people would have noticed if he started having a box with him the day after the murder. He must have came on board with that box, would be my guess.
So what was missing?
maybe nothing's missing. Just the fact that stuff was disturbed.
James Windeback is the only one that made it back to England, and there is a residence for him. We could visit his residence, maybe
See if something's missing,
or see it. Yeah, maybe he has like one of those like stereotypical like yarn charts in his
yarn
house.
chart,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
you know,
The red string
the
chart.
red strings all over the place. He could have been putting something together, and that's why he was murdered.
True, he discovered something that thus caused him to be
I
murdered.
say this is the last lead we look at then.
Lead number 9.
Sherlock probably solved it in 2 fucking leads.
Yeah, 4 is
What is
usually
it?
his number. Shit. I think it was 12 WC. Let me check it again. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out something concrete because we haven't really found anything concrete yet, in my opinion.
We have not.
12 NW.
I will just say that in other scenarios we've played, some of the more advanced ones, you could read the whole book and not have a concrete answer. You just have to draw your most likely conclusions.
James Windibank's widow, Hildegard, shows us to the parlor. I told him it was a mistake to go on this expedition, but he was determined. He said that he had spent his life studying, and that this was a chance to actually get out into the field. Did he talk about the death of his colleagues on his return? No, not in particular. He remained very evasive. So he feared for his own life. I wouldn't go that far, but a certain paranoia had settled in. The poor dear wanted to flee all the ridiculous publicity that he had gotten when we had taken a trip on the continent. Going around the world, that didn't seem like him, but his whole case had probably disturbed him. I thought when I married a professor that our lives would be quiet and uneventful. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
Well, fuck his widow, man. Okay.
She actually did give us some information that he came back
Paranoid.
fearful and always on the lookout for someone. I feel like he probably knew that there was a murderer that wasn't a mummy, and he maybe had seen something.
I think he just knew that an actual mummy did not murder them,
Yeah.
and he was probably on the list.
I think Turnbull was the only one who didn't want to take the statue, and Weatherby and Windibank and the 2 Arab guys were all in on it. They were going to split it, and this often happens when people like that try to split something valuable. Most of them just get murdered.
All right.
So actually that would kind of make sense. So they come across the statue when they're there. Turnbull, obviously, against treasure hunting, says, we do not take this, we leave the, whatever. We properly store this. So they murder him because they want to keep it. On the way back, they notice Weatherby rummaging through the things, possibly trying to hide or secret away the statue, so they kill him in the same way. And then, for some reason, they kill the last guy. Didn't quite get there yet.
Yeah, why would Fami and the other Arab kill?
I mean, it could be
Windibank.
loose ends because
So they don't have to
But
split
the thing,
the-
it doesn't seem like why wouldn't he go to the authorities when he get back? I mean, they have houses in London, these Arab men. So why wouldn't he have like turned them in?
Must have been in on.
Well,
If he was
if
in
he
on
was
it.
in on Turnbull's murder, he can't really go turn around and say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we murdered this guy, but I didn't want to murder this guy as much. So don't arrest me, but arrest these Arabs.
I mean, why didn't he just go and say that it was the Arabs and he knew it? This was London. They would have believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sherlock
Professor-
Holmes exists in London, and maybe he knows that, and knows that Sherlock Holmes will figure out that he was actually involved.
All right.
Here we go to the questions.
9 leads is usually my cutoff point. That's negative 25 points most likely.
So, man, I do not think it's Fami or...
Given that there's a certain number of characters, and like you said, it has to be 2 people. It
Yeah.
has to be at least one of the Arabs. If it's going to be... we got Travis and the 2 Arabs are the only people even possibly connected with it.
So, I'd say it's definitely Travis is in part
I
of it.
didn't. I don't want to say anything. I'm just. We're done. We started going to the questions. I just read one of the questions, and it actually makes kind of sense. One of them's just like, how are the victims killed? We never actually went and looked at the bodies. They were just found with mummy.
Strangled.
No, Every single person just said that they were found with a bit of the mummy cloth around their neck.
I put it out that we could have asked the coroner, but
Yeah.
I assumed,
did.
they were strangled.
I thought they said they were strangled.
You know what happens when you listen?
Tenny said that. Tenny's like apparently strangled is all he said. He didn't say actually.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
He's not the coroner.
Anyway, so somebody start the question here.
Okay, let me get.
You always go to the coroner in CSI. It's like one
Yeah.
of the first stops.
Yeah, you go see the crime, then you go see the body.
Yeah.
That's what we should have done. Question number one.
Who killed Ebenezer Turnbull?
Turnbull.
I
Now, are we answering this individually or
No,
is it?
I think Weatherby, Windibank, Travis.
No, I think it had to be.
This is I think we fucked this one up.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I guess our prevailing theory, it was a conspiracy of everyone else there.
I don't know. Yeah.
Let's go with Travis and the Arabs.
Share the mic.
I said we go with Travis and the Arabs.
So Travis and an accomplice that is Arab.
Yeah, it's very. I don't know. This was a hard case. I think we had a lot of dead. We had way too many dead leads.
Yeah.
So
Question number 2. Why was he murdered?
For the
The statue. As vaguely as we can word for the statue. I'm just writing down statue. If the answer is anything related to the statue, we win.
Question 3. Who killed Andrew Weatherby?
The Arabs.
Yeah, I think it was the Arabs.
Okay.
Everybody else.
Question 4. Why was he murdered?
The statue.
Are we just... Question 5. Who killed James Windibank?
The Arabs.
no, with those questions, it's got to be the same guy killed all three. Like,
Or
it's
3
about-
completely unrelated murders.
Please tell me that the next one is why was he murdered.
Why was he murdered? Question 6.
So our answers so far is
the
the
Arabs.
Arabs, the statue, the Arabs, the statue, the Arabs, the statue.
We got to at least get one of them
I
right.
think we
Two of them
fucked this up.
Okay.
Wait a minute, are you ready for part 2? Who killed Akram Fahmy?
Al Saud.
Which object passed from one pair of hands to the other in this case? Well, you know, we're 8 questions in, and we've only answered Arabs and the statue. Question number 3. How were the victims killed?
What was question 2?
Which object passed from one pair of hands to the other
statue.
in this case?
Statue.
no, the statue was there at Fami's house.
No, it was a book. It opened to a picture of the statue.
Oh, okay.
Question
Statue.
3. How were the victims killed?
Well,
What?
How were the victims
I guess
killed?
stabbed.
Tangled with the...
Strangled?
Strangulation.
Most of them were strangled. One of them was stabbed,
The Arabs.
Strangled.
which is all we knew until we started reading questions.
Let's see how we did, boys.
Is that all the?
Yep.
Is that all of them? Okay.
Let's just go on. I'm going to read this.
Yeah. I think
There's no second guessing ourselves.
I think it turns. I'm actually gonna guess that probably Turnbull died of natural causes somehow.
Well, Watson, let me set your mind to rest. I think we have a suspect other than the mummy. Come, Holmes, I never thought for a moment that it was the mummy. What balderdash! I know, Watson, I know. The mummy did have one thing in common with the murderer. Other than the victims, they were the only ones present at each murder. Well, of course, Holmes, you state the obvious. But the important thing, Watson, is to see the obvious things. At first, we had 2 elements which made this a rather simple case. First, the place where the murders took place allowed us to limit the number of suspects. Then, the fact that these suspects were assassinated one after another considerably reduced the possibilities. Limit the number of suspects. The first murder took place in Egypt, the second one on a boat, and the third in London. It seems that there were as many possible suspects, the population of Egypt and that of London. No, not at all, Watson. Taking into account the common modus operandi, we could easily deduce that these murders were linked. This vastly limits the number of suspects, especially in the case of the boat. According to the newspaper, the Eastern Empress was in Bombay at the time of the first murder. We can thus eliminate the crew members of our list of suspects. Everything, therefore, centered around the members of the expedition. My first step was thus a meeting with Lawrence Feld, head of Egyptology department at London University and first instigator of the Katibet expedition. He could give me the name of Travis. It seems that Travis had been in Egyptology student and that he had been under the Professor James Windibank's tutelage. He tried to be part of the expedition, but was turned down by Windibank. Weatherby was chosen instead, which affects Travis. A nice suspect in truth, more so since a telegram sent to the Times confirmed that he had managed to follow the expedition to Egypt as a correspondent. I need a drink. So, Travis is our culprit. You're going too fast, Watson. Even if Travis made a nice culprit, many elements quickly proved to me that he couldn't be implicated in all the murders.
Oh, thank God.
First off, his first article clearly shows that he could never enter the tomb and thus commit the first murder. Then, a conversation with Luther Tinney, who led the investigation of the death of Weatherby, clearly proved to me that he couldn't be implicated in the second. Moreover, Tinney, by telling me of the tormented voyage of the Eastern Empress, gave me one of the missing keys. Why would Weatherby, in the middle of a storm, feel the need to verify the content of the expedition's crates? Probably because he realized that an item of great value was missing. From then on, only one person could have stolen the item from the tomb. You mean James Windibank? Yes, Watson Windibank. With Turnbull and Weatherby dead, Travis out of the loop, there remains only one. When Feld mentioned his instance at being named at the head of the expedition, I started being suspicious about him. The conversation with Tinney only confirmed my doubts, but I was lacking a motive, and I thus consulted Langdale Pike about Windibank. He revealed to me that Windibank, madly in love with his wife, was spending a fortune to keep her lifestyle. From then, everything was clear. Windibank was possibly paid to bring back an item from the tomb. He was unfortunately surprised by Turnbull and killed him, disguised his misdeed and improvising around a curse. But of course, Weatherby didn't believe the story and probably guessed Windibank's implication when he saw him chatting with Akram Fahmy, who was apparently transporting a highly precious object. He wanted to be certain and thus looked for proof in the inventory. But Windibank was wary and thus killed the poor Weatherby, giving at the same time importance to the story of the curse. But then how did he die as well? Come on, Watson, think. Who remains? Travis, of course. And for him, the motive is rather simple to imagine. Travis, Egyptology student, and never far from the murders, probably guessed that the mummy didn't have as much to do with the whole thing. However, he understood that he could take advantage of this story of a curse to take revenge on Windibank, all the while being covered by the story invented by the latter.
That's
the
a
irony
weak motive.
in the end, Windibank was a victim of his own plot. I agree, Holmes, it was a simple case, I must admit.
So 0000000,
No, statue
basically.
is correct.
Let's hope so.
Holmes has solved this case by following 4 leads.
He always does in 4 leads.
London University, 43 WC. Times, 30 EC. Luther Tinney, 11 SE. And Langdale Pike, 2 SW.
Who is Landale Pike?
He's the
He's the high society gossip columnist.
He also-
That's one of our allies on the back, which I'm not sure how we're supposed to know that Windibank was a high society man, but apparently he was.
He also used the following article from the newspaper: Recent excavations in Egypt, 17 August 1888. Archaeologist dead in mummy's tomb, 5th March 1889. Shipping departures, 5th March 1889. Mummy strikes again, 12 April 1889. His score is 100 points. Score, Part 1. Who killed Ebenezer Turnbull? James Windibank. Why was he murdered? He discovered that Windibank stole something in Cuthbert's tomb. 20 points. Who killed Andrew Weatherby? James Windibank. 20 points. Why was he murdered? He suspected Windibank. 20 points. Who killed James Windibank? Phyllis Travis. 10 points. Why was he murdered? Vengeance. 20 points. Who killed Akram Fahmy? Abdullah al-Saud.
Oh, we got that.
Which object passed from one pair of hands to the other in this case?
statue.
A golden statue of Sekhmet.
Got that, right?
20 points. How were the victims killed? They were strangled with bare hands.
Oh, we got that too.
Yeah.
Well, it says in parentheses bare hands.
He said strangled.
Yeah.
Need this win, James.
5 points.
5 points.
To tally your score, add the points obtained by answering the questions. Then count the number of leads you followed. Don't count the free leads indicated above.
There were none.
There were none. Then compare the number of leads you followed to that of Holmes. If you followed more lead than Holmes, subtract 5 points
How many points
from
were
your
the last
score
three
for
guys?
each extra lead. If you followed fewer leads than Holmes, add 5 points. Part 2, number 1 is 5. Part 2, number 2 is 20. Part 2, number 3 is 5.
And hold on. What was the second question? Answer the second question.
Why was he murdered? He discovered that Windibank stole something in Kotobet's tomb. We did not get that Windibank specifically stole something.
I'm not giving us any points for the top half whatsoever.
Okay.
Hey, we really did.
So,
In light of everything, we brought those Arabs to justice. That's all that matters.
we were just trying to
God save the
roleplay
Queen. Good Englishmen.
1988
Dirty Arabs.
London and just blame the Arabs for everything.
Bloody foreigners.
Negative
So
10
did it not
points.
at all address that the guard couldn't lift the tomb, the sarcophagus?
No.
But that's unfortunate.
So Travis apparently is the one that lifted the sarcophagus.
I
and
really
put it
think
on
Travis is
What's our
Yeah.
total score?
5 points.
No, it was
5
negative.
points for Gryffindor.
We got 30 points and followed 5 extra leads, so that's minus 25. We get 5 points.
Yay.
Hey, we didn't get a negative score.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
That one was hard. There was like 3 bodies and multiple subjects.
A lot of moving
all
parts.
hard.
Yeah.
For comparison, Sherlock Holmes' score was 100 points.
Well, it's
we got
Sherlock,
5.
fucking Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps because we kind of we knew something was going on like between everybody, but we thought it was a group thing when it really was just one guy, and then a guy came in and murdered him at the end. I didn't.
Fami was involved.
Yeah, there were 3
right?
killers.
No, Fami wasn't involved.
I thought the gold. What did he steal from the crypt? I thought the gold statue is what they stole.
Yeah, Fami got killed because of the statue. There were 3 murderers.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So apparently in all this, the only one that got away scot-free was Al Saud.
I don't know if this.
Because this just says which object passed from one pair of hands to another in this case.
Yeah, I know, but what did
And that was the golden statue. I don't
what
think
did
that's
Windibank steal from the tomb? Did it
It
ever
doesn't
say?
say. But it wasn't the golden statue.
Okay.
What was the answer to number 7? The question for number 7, because the answer was Al Saud.
Who killed Fami?
Who killed Fami?
Fami, right.
So yeah, Al Saud get away scot-free with the statue. Man.
So I guess where we went wrong is we followed.
We didn't check the high
Didn't check the
society.
corner.
Yeah.
I didn't get
And also, we followed like all these leads that should have panned out, but like the captain didn't know anything more than he talked about. Like it would have, but we didn't really get any indication of that.
the corner? Was there anything in the corner entry?
Yeah, read the corner entry real quick to see what we would have missed. I mean, I imagine he just said
bare hands
they're
part.
strangled by bare hands.
What's,
It's on that paper somewhere. St. Bart's.
Yeah, I never got a high society vibe from the professor because you're not going to think like living the high life with a college professor. Even
But back then, it would have been.
As we enter the autopsy laboratory, we see Sir Jasper pulling an almost white sheet over a cadaver. Could we have a word with you, Sir Jasper? Asked Wiggins. Oh, Wiggins, of course. Let me wash up. Sir Jasper walks over to the sink against the wall. Are you investigating the death of Samuel Sneed? I just finished with him. No, we were interested in James Windibank. Oh, of course, the mummy's latest victim. Who hired Holmes? Remesis too? Ha, ha, ha. No, not in fact. We don't have a client. Just for fun, huh? Well, about the only thing I can tell you is that the mummy... It has powerful hands. The trachea was crushed along with one of the vertebrae of the neck. Death was instantaneous. That simple snap. The papers report the mummy wrappings were found around the neck. Just window dressing. It was bare hands. The bruises and the way the vertebrae was crushed leave no doubt about that. There's not much more I can tell you.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like we wouldn't have gotten anything from that.
Yeah.
We got 5 points.
No, we gave our
Really give ourselves
yeah, strangled.
with bare hands.
Whatever. Strangled is strangled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you strangle somebody with your bare hands or a piece of cloth, they end up the same way.
I mean, we never said the mummy strangled him.
No, what that mean?
If motherfucker got stabbed, I shouldn't have to say what knife he was stabbed with.
I think there's
For cause of death, at least.
Yeah.
technically strangled.
Well, that was fun.
It was a pretty neat game. I got 20 points on case number 1 by myself. I was very happy with that.
We got 110 on case 1.
This was this was a lot harder.
Really?
105. But this is a lot harder than any other cases I did.
Evidently, case 3 is retardedly hard.
Yeah, when I did the first 2 cases, and they almost went out of their way to make sure you realized who the perpetrator was.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So, anybody check our email lately?
We have no emails. We actually have a lot of emails from PayPal saying if we want to start getting money, they'll give us $5 free on our first 5 transactions.
Oh, let's do
Just
that.
throwing that at you.
Oh, yeah. Fuck the podcast. We'll open an eBay store.
There you go.
All right. Well, we're at time, so
Thanks
we
for
should wrap it up.
listening to Nintendo Dreamcast, the Murder Mystery Theater.
The Mummy's Cast.
The Mummy's Curse. Hello.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Night.